Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. Let me get a comment in for the first people in here, and let me know if you guys can hear me well so we can make our adjustments early, just in case, Mr. Z always be having some technical difficulty going on. All right. I don't get anything yet. Well, for the people that first come in, just let me know that you can hear me and you can hear me well, and we will start. Okay, so I saw this clip. I was supposed to review it 2 days ago. But such is life, and life was happening, and life was lifing. And now I have the time, so we will go over it. And this is a review of Wisecrack. I've been a subscriber of Wisecrack for some years now. They put out really interesting content, um, things to make you think. They take a philosopher's angle on many of these things, which I love. Um, and it just give you they introduce you to new concepts and new philosophers and old and ancient philosophers and the Stoics and maybe some of the Stoics you may not have heard of and all that good stuff, right? And just stuff to think about. So um, they covered traditional relationships, right? And from a very interesting angle, or not even traditional relationships. Mr. Z worded that wrong. An appeal to traditional relationships that many are having, right? A turn back to traditional relationships and traditional gender norms in particular, right? Um, and there's a reason I think, this is where I think the left does a really bad job. I think they're really good at intellectualizing these things. And I think they take the feeling part. So this is the part of like the left that like is like does the whole facts over feelings thing, right? So the right plays that game and they're very overt about it. But the left kind of does that too to a certain extent. So what the left is pretty much saying is, yeah, we can acknowledge like the financial precarity. And I'm going to mention that, right? I'm going to go into detail about that because they are correct, right? But then they almost ask women to offer their way through it though, right? Like it's the almost polar opposite of the right, where the right doesn't want to speak about systems at all. They just want you to take personal responsibility. The left on this on in this way, and more cultural left, right, is kind of commanding women to alpha their way through it, and only alpha their way through it. Yes, talk about systems. Yes, try to revamp systems, but what you're experiencing on your personal life and that sadness and that feeling of loneliness, we can explain it away by just speaking about economics, right? The economic reality, the precarity, which is true. All of that is true. The economic reality of millennials and Gen Z is true. What's going on, the struggle, all of that's true. But how do your people feel about that? What are they experiencing, right? What does that experience, that loneliness feel like? What is that feeling like you've been, effed hard and put out to dry, right? By the corporate sector, by government, by the society. What does that feel like? Particularly, what does that feel like for women, right? When you're told, don't hyper focus on being a wife and child, you're a modern 21st century woman. That's kind of old school. That's a sign of weakness. What you care about what men think, right? You put being a wife and a mother above everything else and you're very overt about it. Ill, right? Why don't you try to be a contributing member to society and get out here in this workforce and work yourself to the bone for some rich white old dude to live out his dream, right? And then over the past couple decades, they flipped that and said, well, boss girl feminism dictates that you can be just as bad as the men. And bad in the good way and bad in the bad way, right? Bad in the way where you can be that boss, you can give out orders, you can dictate, right? And on the other side is you can be as crass as the men, you can be as mean as the men, you could be an a-hole like the white elite men, Because let's be very clear, boss girl feminism had nothing to do with regular men. It was women trying to be a-holes like rich white elite men and seeing some power in that and seeking that type of power. The power to abuse, the power to dictate to others, the power to harm others and get away with it, the power to manipulate people when they figure it out to get away with it. Right? So I would argue many women turning to tradition is because of the current environment. And yes, the financial realities. So, we already know right now the average home price is going for something like $480,000. That's absolutely insane, right? We already know that 2/3 of student loan debt is held by women, right? We already know for the first time in US history, if I'm not mistaken, more adult women are single than married, right? We already know about the plummeting birth rate. All of this affects women. Men too, yes, but today we're talking about women, right? We know these things, right? We know about the average new car price being $50,000, 48,000. We know about the average used car price being some $33,000, $35,000, right? All of this affects women. We already know what the median income for women from some of the more recent numbers is some $34,000, which I still don't believe that's way too fast from that $25,000 that we heard of a few years ago. Now it's 34. Okay, whatever. Right. I've even heard numbers of some 40 some odd $1,000. Either way, it's not 50 plus. Right. And this affects women. And of course, women are going to turn to tradition as the home prices rise and the used car prices rise and more women are evicted and more and there I saw a video earlier this morning um of of a white woman speaking about the divorce rate and okay looking white woman, right? And she's speaking about all her friends that are divorced and just the precarity of life and all of these other things. And of course, as single women and young women watch their friends file for divorce at an 80% clip and a 90% clip for college educated, and they then see what those women's lives look like 5 and 10 years later, of course they're going to turn to tradition and traditional gender norms in relationships, right? So let me make sure I get everything. So people are trying to find meaning also. People don't want their tombstone to be when they pass away. Yeah, worked for corporate America for 30 years, died and got a gold pin or a gold watch, beginning end. Oh, I forgot. That's not how it works anymore. I think right now, and I'm gonna actually cover this. This probably is gonna be coming up in the next day or two, which I'm gonna cover, which is the new business model essentially being get them out the work them hard and get them out the door within 5 years. But women are tired of that. Men are tired of that. So you got to know women are tired of that. You work for a job for 2, 3 years. They work you hard. They get you out the door within 5. You're at the next job, degree or no degree, nice salary or not. That level of precarity. If we're going to live in that level of precarity, then people even more than ever really need a partner. And women leaning on tradition means that that partner is a man, husband, serious relationship, boyfriend, but that partner is a man. so that he can help shoulder, let's be honest, shoulder most of it, that burden. Who wants their tombstone to be worked hard, beginning end, right? Yeah, okay, yeah. Great friend, okay, cool. Great sibling, okay, cool. Great child to parents, yeah, that's great, right? Of course, people are also turning to tradition, particularly women, and I would argue that's probably a fad. But even with it being a fad, granted, okay, it's a fad, and it's because of the precarity of our current environment and society. Okay, and even with that, people are also looking for meaning outside of just being consumers, outside of having the nicest and most expensive thing. And so you're going to find people leaning into tradition for that reason also, women in particular. And don't expect for these people to be able to vocalize this verbatim the way Mr. Z is doing right now. They're just gonna move how they need to move, and maybe not even be able to vocalize why and during the wisecrack video, there was a segment where they mentioned, a random woman going from having a tattoo on her wrist to, rocking rosaries 2 days later. I mean, excuse me, 2 years later, right? Going from 2019 to 2021, getting a tattoo on her wrist to, rocking rosaries later. And yeah, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see women in particular make this transition and not even be able to vocalize to you, yeah, life was too precarious, and I was praying to God, and God told me get a man, right? They're just gonna make that transition, right? So the precarity of people's reality is one of the reasons why people are moving the way they're moving. Another thing, the work world is cruel. The work world is cruel. Corporate America is even more cruel in the work world. It's cruel. It's cruel to men. It's cruel to women, right? And once again, if we're going to live in a precarious world with all these gigs, right, the gig economy, if we're going to live in a world where your corporate overlords are trying to bring you in, use you up, and throw you out the door within 5 years, and then tell you, well, that's what you get. You should have started your own thing. You should have been an entrepreneur. And then on top of that, if we live in a world where entrepreneurship, at least pre-COVID, was at a 40-year low, and even with that, what they showed, the average woman is bringing what, $24,000 a year with her own thing, doing her own thing, her LLC or whatever it is. That's not enough, right? What percentage of new businesses close shop within a year, within 3 5 years? They're pretty much all gone within 5 years. Such is the nature of business. You take that risk. Mr. Z's not even poo-pooing that. No, I'm not. I'm not even in that. You know, in that realm today. But if that's the precarity at which people are being met with, especially where it seems like and it feels like, can't tell you what it is, I can tell you what it seems like, it feels like, that your margin of error, you don't have that much space to make those type of mistakes for too long, then people are going to need even more to be able to lean on someone else. That includes women leaning on men. And there you go with the turn to traditional gender norms, right? If the corporate world is going to be cruel, if the workforce is going to be cruel, if starting your own business into entrepreneurship in the era of Amazon and Walmart is going to be cruel, then people, including women, most particularly women, are going to lean on men, tradition, and traditional gender norms. That's to be expected. Because whatever y'all had them doing for how many decades now, it's unfulfilling for the average woman. We're not talking about those elites that y'all like to throw in people's faces like Sheryl Sandberg. And if y'all could have, Elizabeth Holmes, but she played y'all. Right? Not those. Not the Oprahs. Right? We're talking about your average, everyday, $40,000 a year earning woman. The 45, the 35, the $30,000 a year earning woman. What y'all been pushing to them for the past few decades is unfulfilling. So of course they turn to tradition. And because certain manosphere, particularly black manosphere talking points, are leaking out into mainstream society, it's causing some of the women that kind of have their ears to the streets to question this just a little bit. Not all of them. Let's be honest, so Mr. Z ain't we ain't gonna be delusional like some of the ladies. Not all of the women, not most of them, not even a significant minority, but enough, just a teeny tiny bit. Right? We have to be honest about the environment and what's causing certain people to turn to tradition. And it's interesting because even Wisecrack couldn't just make it seem like a man thing because so many and I don't have a TikTok now. I have to. Oh, I'm not gonna give the Chinese that. No, I'm sorry. I'll be spied on by the U.S. government. I ain't gonna be spied on by the Chinese. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Right? But apparently, so many TikTok videos created by women are talking about this traditional thing, this traditional gender norm thing, where Wisecrack covered it, right? And of course, and of course, the women are coming out here and getting their heads scalped by other women, but by men in the corporate world. And these are the rules. In the workforce, in the workspace, these are the rules. And it's one thing if you're just you and your husband, y'all working y'all jobs, y'all doing your thing to survive, and level up a little bit in life. It's a whole different story when you say, "Oh no, I'm gonna climb up that corporate ladder by myself," right? So of course these people are turning to tradition, the women, right? Because that corporate world can be cruel, and it is cruel, right? And it is draining. And sitting in that cubicle for 7 and 8 hours a day and 9 hours a day, and God forbid you did overtime today, and 10 and 12 hours a day can be the monotony is it can be draining. And it's one thing when there's a greater calling, you're doing this, to put your kids through school, and or you're doing this so you're doing the overtime because prom time is coming up for your son and your daughter, and you and your husband are putting in extra hours so y'all can get y'all kids that nicer clothes or whatever the hell it is. Or so I could put down a little bit extra on that nicer rental car or whatever it is, right? But if that's your life, ugh. And women feel that too. And at the very margins are women that say, yeah, nah, I don't see a meaning in this. right? I'm not obligated to any man, not obligated to any children, but I have this very thin veil contract with this employer, and I'm giving my time to this employer some 8, 9, 10 hours a day, right? 8, 9, 10. And if we count your drive to work, for those of you that do that super commuting, that hour plus driving, shout out to California, right? Shout out to New York. Then maybe really between you walking out the house and walking back in the house, not counting picking the kids up from school or dropping them off, not counting any of that, it could be easily 12, 13 hours. And you're doing that without a spouse, particularly the women doing that. Yeah. I'm sorry. Give me a second, better you. Hey, Mr. Shook to you said driving an hour to work right now. Forehead, palm forehead. Right? Right. And once again, if you're doing this for family and you can look in your kids' eyes and your wife's eyes or your husband's eyes and say, you know what, I'm doing this for something. This is for something. This is for something bigger than just trying to get that 7 series. Right? This is for something bigger than that. This is for something that I can't even, there's no real tangible thing. It's bigger than that. That's a different conversation. But if you're a single woman and you just doing that just because, that's draining. So yes, wisecrack, the women are going to turn to tradition in that. And in actuality, fixing the economic reality for the women, it may not even be enough. Right? Because you're still missing the meaning part. Right? And how cruel the workspace could be. Right? And better uses, do companies still give gifts like nice gold watch for being 20 years? First of all, you got to get 20 years. That's number one. Number two, I don't think so. I don't think you get a pin or a watch anymore. You don't get that nice metal pin anymore, right? Or that nice gold watch that cost them a couple $100 at least or something. You ain't getting that no more. That's our grandfather's time. Our fathers didn't even, extras didn't even see that. Extras didn't and aren't gonna see that. Some boomers might have saw that, right? Silent and Greatest Generation saw that, but some boomers might have saw that or might see that. But yeah, no. If you're a boomer and you're in the workforce, you're probably not gonna see that. I'm sorry. Extras are definitely not gonna see that. Millennials, kill yourself. You're not even working at places for no decade, let alone 20 years. And Gen Z, good luck with the gig economy. These people are the worst. And they wonder why women are turning to tradition in this environment. Right? And better uses, and thank you for the super chat, brother. A lot of people are trying to solve problems in weird ways, poly, etc. Right? Due to socialization, tradition provides a blueprint that at least succeeded in the past. Exactly. Capitalism is tightening the screws, and it's hurting some, and it's hurting a lot. You know, it's funny. And we've all been subject to this. So I'm going to make fun of these people a little bit, but I'm not saying I'm above it or any one of us are above it. When you swear by something, but that's the same something that's putting a foot up your rear end, right? You swear by this thing, but it's hurting you, right? It's either hurting you mentally, psychologically, physically, right? Emotionally, and it could even be a person, right? You swear by this friend, you swear by this lover, you swear by maybe even a parent, right? And that's the same thing or same person, same system that's causing you some discomfort, some harm. Discomfort if we're being a little easy, harm if we want to be more accurate, right? Trell said a lapel pin. That's it, Trell. Trell, tell him stop cheaping out. A lapel pin better be made out of gold, real gold. These people, like, okay, let's say you manage to, I don't know how you were able to do it, but let's say you're managed to work at Walmart for 25 years. I don't care if you were mopping floors all the way to being store manager. For the amount of money the Waltons are bringing in, they better give you a goddamn gold watch. But I'm almost certain they don't. Right? Another thing, right, is hopes can be disappointing. That was something that was said on the video. And by the way, the video, the link is in the description. Hopefully many of you got to watch it already because I had it up for like a day or so. Right? But yeah, hopes can be disappointing. And so many of us were sold, Xers, millennials, older Gen Z, were sold on this go out there, go bust your ass, right? Go try to start an LLC or a business, right? Go work for corporate America for some years, go try to do your own thing. And some people, they did that. Go risk it all in the crypto market, right? Go risk it all in the crypto market and the stock market. Oops. Right? And life is risk. If you think you're not going to come out here in real life and take risk and you're going to be successful, you're smoking. But at the same time, hopes, right? Unchecked, let's call it delusion. It could be disappointing. And so many of these women are coming out here with all of this hope that was sold to them. I call it delusion. Hope that was sold to them, right? And they come out here at 22 years old after college, 23, 24 years old after college. And we already saw the data. What, 1 year out, they're making $35,000 a year out of college. That's not bad money. It ain't good money either, right? And guess what? They still ain't making no real money after 5 years out of college. By 30, they still ain't making baller money. By 35, and they were never going to, not for the masses. And so those hopes, how many of us, let's be very honest, particularly for younger Xers, millennials, not Gen Z yet, y'all not old enough yet, but for younger Xers and millennials, how many of us know women that by 30 they were done? Yes, some of their pride might not might not let them say it overtly, but some of us, they admitted to us, they were by 30, they were done. They didn't want to work no more. By 29, 30, 31, they were done. They didn't want to work no more. See, it was all good just a week ago, right? It was all good, right? When you entered the workforce, you started working at that law office, you started working for that firm. You thought you was gonna be Sheryl Sandberg or homegirl from was it Dell or whatever computer someone one of y'all told me before, I can't remember what her name was. The one that ran for president also, I forgot her name. Uh, anyway, that lady, right? Y'all thought y'all was gonna be her. Y'all thought it was gonna be Madeleine Albright, right? or Maxine Waters or somebody. Y'all thought y'all was gonna be that, right? 10 years later, right? And in this respect, we can't even kind of poke fun at the ladies in a vacuum because a lot of men came out here too. You thought you was gonna be the next rapper, or you thought NFL or NBA, and but at least you played high school and college ball, right? The ladies were just a lot of them were just sold on this hope and came out here and got scalped by life in the same rich white elite dudes they hope to marry one day. Yikes, right? And we'll pause right here. And Oliver the Graces, and thank you for the super chat. Oh, by the way, thank you for the super chat. Also, better you, right? I didn't say thank you earlier. And Oliver the Graces, correction. It's 30 years, and you and you can't. And Oliver the Graces, correction. It's 30 years, and you get a group email saying good luck on your next endeavor. Hey, Oliver the Gray with the jokes this morning. Oh man, it's true. It's true. Look, y'all already know I work for two different cities. We had a pretty high ranking person that retired. And I promise you, we threw this person a little picnic lunch with you know maybe $100 worth of food, and that was it. That was it. And it was like, wow. And I remember distinctly a coworker mentioning, you see all the work she done put in, all the work this and all the work that, and this person, this is what they get, right? And yeah. Now, obviously, depending, different jobs, different careers, it's different. It's different. Especially if you're working at something smaller where you were that integral to the development of the business or whatever, that's different. But when you start working for like major cities and stuff, or a county, or yeah, maybe not, right? Especially if you're working for a large firm, yeah. People might not even notice if you're not gone, if you take vacation, they don't even know that you're gone, right? So yeah, it's look, and you imagine, so men are that happens to men. That happens to men. Now imagine women. By the way, ladies, you should have saw this coming. This is what equality looks like. This is Yeah, the precarity of the corporate sector. Yeah, men live it. Women got to live it too. Yeah, that rise and grind crap that they were selling to men. Yeah, you got to live it too. Oh yeah, this is the other side. This is the dark side of equality. Being a mule for the corporate sector so you can hurry up and get your couple of pennies and run out the back door and try to do something with your life outside of just work to death. Yeah, that's gonna happen to women too. Oh yeah, that's not exclusive to men no more. Oh no, you wanted this, you got it. As I mentioned earlier, super commuting an hour plus to work. Yeah, that's gonna happen to women too. Looking in the mirror and asking yourself, is it worth it? Yeah, that's gonna happen to women too, right? Well, you better believe it. And so once again, wisecrack, Of course, women are turning to tradition. Of course, right? And we'll pause right here. And the Haitian says, "Sac passe, not boule," right? And sac passe is just saying, "What's up, you guys in Creole," right? A more direct translation would be like, "What's going on," right? More like what's happened, actually. More of a past tense statement. But yeah. So of course the precarity in all of this is real, right? People need someone to lean on, especially when times are hard. All that strong and independent stuff, yeah, that sound nice, right? You could sell that, right? And let it not be lost on everyone how much of this manifest talk is manifesting or not manifesting, right? Let it not be lost on everyone that for a decade plus, millennials and as Gen Z started to come of age, were sold hustle culture, all that rise and grind Gary V crap. Don't forget that. I know the internet makes everything seem like it was a million years ago. That was yesterday. That was literally just a couple years ago. We were getting hit with hustle culture. We're still getting hit with hustle culture, but it's heyday. That was just a couple years ago. COVID put an end to a lot of that because everybody realized, yeah, if you didn't have a couple of peanuts stored away, right? All right, the Haitian. I'm gonna get to it in a minute. I'm gonna get to it in a minute, right? And that hustle culture, that kind of not really rugged individuality and disrespect, but that rise and grind hustle culture, um, right? That you know, and I can even remember Uber with one of their commercials, "Get your hustle on," and like, and all of this, right? Women went through that also, and they are burnt out. They're burnt out, especially if you've put in 40 plus hours a week at work. You're burnt out. As I said, by 30, 31, they're done. They're done. And for some of them, it don't even take that long. It really doesn't, right? And the Haitian says, thank you for the super chat. The Haitian said, maybe this will help you say it with more feeling. Sac passe, not boule. There we go. There we go. The Haitian was like, okay, that last one was kind of lackluster. That was watered down. Let me put some more on it. Right? Now I feel like a stripper. Now I feel like the Haitian was like, okay, I gave you $2. You ain't really doing much. Let me give you this. Let me give you this dub. Let's see what you do for this dub. Right? Right. Oh, give me a second. Let's read this comment for Charles Irby. I'm gonna highlight the Haitians comment back again, because I leave my super chats up for a little while. But let's see. And Charles Irby says things are getting bad at my local mosque in Philadelphia. I heard a few mosques have around 300 women looking for husbands. No me in sight. Brothers going to Muslim countries to marry. You see, it's real. It's real. And yes, y'all know Mr. Z is a lefty, so yes, I'm gonna talk about the economics and emphasize that. And yes, the economics matter. Her student loan debt matter too. That $40,000 student loan debt, $60,000 student loan debt, 80,000, 120, 150. That student loan debt is a beast. Many of those women, they look at that student loan debt, they know they can't pay that off by themselves and get a house and get a new car. Win. So yeah, they're gonna go to the mosque looking for a husband and go to church looking for a husband. And for a couple of the Jewish women, go to synagogue looking for a husband. Don't get it twisted. I know a couple of Jewish women in their 30s, single, no kids, no man. And no, they're not ugly, white Jewish women either. They're all right looking. They okay. Right. So yeah, they're gonna go to the mosque. And we have to be honest about this environment and what it's doing to people. This is a crushing environment. As y'all heard Mr. Z say multiple times, everything because it was white people too, so I got to say our forefathers, air quotes, our forefathers, all that labor rights movement coming out of the late 19th century into the early 20th century, mid 20th century. You read the Powell memo and you see they said, yeah, we're taking all of that back. 50 years after the Powell memo, gig economy, Uber, Lyft, right? Instacart, right? And women got to live that too. Women got to go through that too. So, of course, they're turning to tradition. Translation: God, please save me. And God says, get a man, right? They're going to lead to traditional gender norms. And much of that is going to lead them, for some, back to the church, back to the mosque, back to the synagogue or temple, into the arms of some man. And if you're not red pill, probably some blue pill man that she overlooked 5 years ago or she ignored 5 years ago. But either way, if he's down with it, fine. But yeah, that precarity is real. Oh yeah, that precarity is real. Exactly, Trail, DoorDash, all of that. You know what, Trail? Yeah, that too. That too. And Trail says, or just on her back. Hey, the era of the diesels, right? Which, by the way, is somewhat traditional too. But yeah, right. This environment is going to produce that. It's going to produce people that are trying to find the answer. So it won't just be traditional gender norms. It's going to be going back to tradition and the way they dress and the way people speak because they're trying to find some type of stability in this precarious situation. No, there are no guarantees in life. There are no guarantees in life. That's absolutely true. But people want some modicum of stability, something, right? Something. And so there you go. Women leading themselves into traditional situations if they can. right? If they can. And also, I say economic reform will only be a band-aid for what we're dealing with now. Let's be very clear. Economic reform is needed, but until we repair the relationship between men and women, it's just a band-aid. The adversarial relationship between men and women started it. The adversarial relationship between men and women, until that's repaired, the economic reform will just be a band-aid. The economic reform is needed. Once again, it is needed. Let me say that one more time. It is needed. But that in a vacuum is not enough. It's that simple. That in a vacuum is not enough. Right? And you see, thank you, the Haitian. And the Haitian says, I'm getting Ubered in Range Rovers, BMWs, and especially Teslas by women. Bro, nice cars, expensive automobiles that they're barely maintaining. That means they work a 9 to 5. They can afford the payment on the vehicle, the payment for their apartment if they live on their own. Most likely they live with a parent, let's be honest. But okay, cool. And that Uber money, that's probably the extra. That's the food for the week, right? Where my Jamaicans at? What they say, whoever don't hear will feel, right? For Black Americans, that's just another way of saying like a hard head make a soft ass. That's just another way of saying that, right? I like how both people say it. I like how the Jamaicans say it and the Black Americans say it. I think they're, but yeah, ladies, you said you could come out here and do it by yourself, and you don't need no man. And if you do need a man, essentially he has to bow down to you and just be a paymaster with no real say so. Well, that's crazy. The Haitian. If you're talking about Beamers, any 3 Series, the cheapest 3 Series is still like 40 something thousand. If you get a really nice 330i right now, you're looking at probably 50 something $1,000. The ranges, you ain't touching no Range Rover worth a damn for less than what, 60, 70, 80 grand. I don't even think 60. What's going for 60? The little Evoque? Not even the Evoque is going for 60. Maybe used. So all of these cars are expensive. Tesla, the cheapest Tesla is the Tesla Model 3. And those, you're not getting those off the lot for less than 40. They say 30 grand was the cheapest, and that was a couple years ago when they first came out. They were supposed to be going for 30 or 35. Let's be honest, nobody could afford you didn't get the Tesla for 30 grand. You got it for, if it was 30, you got it for 35. If it was 35, you got it for 40. So let's be very clear. These people are driving around in cars that are more than $40,000 new. 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, $90,000 cars, and they're Ubering. Dear Wisecrack, that's why the women are turning to tradition. Something with like 15, 18% of Americans' car payment is $1,000 a month or more. The average new car, I think, is going for 750 a month right now. 750, $750. Or I think they said half of Americans are paying 750 or more. It was something crazy. It was either average or half or something along those lines. 750 for some of my exers. Y'all remember when apartments were 750? 750 a month. Y'all remember when an apartment was 750 a month? I was still young, but I remember hearing extras talk about their apartment being 750 a month. Now we paying that in car prices. And it didn't take that long either. Was that 15 years ago? Just about 15, maybe 20 years ago? You could get an apartment, and not in a crappy part of town either, for 750 a month. Now your car is 750 a month. And for about 15, I think 15 to 18% of Americans, $1,000 a month. That's why the women are turning to traditional gender norms. Because you're asking them to pay 750 a month for a car. And she only earns 40, 35, 45, maybe even $50,000 a year. Right? It's ridiculous. And Better You says, and thank you for the super. Oh, thank you for the super chat, the Haitian again, and thank you for the super chat, Better You. And Better You says the West doesn't see its men as valuable. True, it has distilled a man to his wallet and made him inconsequential in other aspects of life and family. Well, me and Better You be flaming capitalism once again. Better You, this is our bag right here. Another product, and throughout human history, because I don't want to, not act like we already know what this is. We know what this is. Throughout human history, we've often treated, you know, men as disposable. It's happened. This is not the first time, right? But we have to be very honest about what that means for now. What does men being devalued look like in the 21st century? And what does it look like when women devalue men when they need them? That's the kicker. That's always the catch, right? Seeing men as inconsequential when they actually do have there is a consequence to not having a man. There is a consequence to not having a man in your life, right? Once again, hard head make a soft ass, right? That's insane. And you see, look at what Terrell said. I was paying 450 plus 60 bucks in utilities in a not so hood back in the 90s. Bro. Dreddy Bean said in 2016, my townhouse was 750. And this is why, and shout out to Jason Black, this is why I push back on that, right? On some of that. It's important to take what he says into account. It's important. But the water is rising faster than people could swim up. Period. Not just black people. The water is rising fast. You gotta have some type of reform. Right? All that alpha your way through stuff, it sound nice, but too many people are drowning. Right? If we saying just 20 years ago it was 450 for an apartment and 60 on utilities, so you barely coming out your pocket a little over $500, and now we more than we damn near not even we quadrupled that for an apartment worth the damn in the Tri-County area where I live. Uh, any apartment worth the damn, you coming out the pocket $2,000. And if you want something a little bit nicer, go up another $500. And if you want something really nice, you're looking at $3,000, $3,500. And if you're trying to rent a home, $3,500. If you're lucky, $3,000. If you're lucky. And if it's a family member or a family friend, maybe they let you slide with $2,500 because the house is already paid off. Right? Once again, tying that to the subject matter, the women are feeling that also. Right? What's going on, Dr. Thunder? Dr. Thunder in the building. And you see what I'm saying? Grab Second Gear said phone bills rival monthly car insurance. And the women are living that. Another reason, and once again, I want to make sure that we're not being too hyperbolic on this statement. We're not talking about most women turning to tradition. We're not talking about all or most or even a significant number, but just at the margins for the ones that are, that's the ones we're speaking about today. Right? For the ones that are, we're just giving our perspective on why they might be. Right? And Wisecrack did a pretty good job at explaining certain things of it. I just want to give it a nice little bow. Plus, I think there was some blind spots because it's being on the left. Sometimes you're astonished at the blind spot, right? Or the way people ignore things. Like it's almost as it's like women can't be self-interested, right? They can't see the environment and say, "Yeah, no, nope, not signing up for that. Not by myself, at least." Right? And it's understandable. And Grab Second Gear said 2K apartment. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Welcome to South Florida. Oh yeah, that ain't nothing. That's nothing. Apartments in South Florida, two twos, 1,800 all day. Two twos and two ones, 1,800 all day, 2,000 all day, $2,200 all day. For a nicer one, 2,400 all day, 25, 26. Right? That's easy. Right? What are we? We're in 2023. One of my boys was paying some 24, 2,500 back in for his apartment, him and his lady's apartment back in 2019, 2018. They were paying 2,400 back then. Oh yeah, it's real. Now it was in a nicer part of town and it was next to a mall, but yeah. And that was in 20, like I said, 2018, 2019, something like that. Right? Oh yeah, it's real out here. Right? Now if you want to live in the hood, then maybe you get in the door around like 800, maybe 1,000, right? Something like that. Like Trell said, in the not so hood, maybe 15 in the not so hood. Maybe. But the second you go up a notch above the not so hood, oh yeah, 18, 2,000. Easy. Easy. And that's those big apartment, like the ones that's not enclosed, right? That's the big I said apartment complexes that are not enclosed. That's yeah. Those are like 15. You know what? I'll do y'all one better. In South Florida, you have people paying to stay in a room with people for $1,000+ a month. In other words, you're paying your friend to live with them, right? And you share the bathroom with your other friend in that house, and you're paying $1,000. Yes, that's a real thing, right? So in that level of that's not financial instability. What is that? That's in like this just insane that's like inflation. That's not stagflation. That's like in that inflationary period that people are living in, or this inflationary period, better yet, that people are living in. What do we think? Of course, the women are going to turn. The women that are turning to tradition. This is much of the reason why. Why not? Right? The level of precarity is real. I already said to you. We already. First of all, I'm not saying anything new. And the Haitian, before I even read your comment, we both know how many, especially in our community, how many women well into their 30s, even 40, living at home with their parents. But that's not so much frowned upon in the Haitian culture or even Jamaican culture. Or, well, I'm going to just say in the larger Caribbean culture, it's not frowned upon to be 38 living at home with your parents, 40, even you and your husband or you and your wife living at home with your parents. Even if you got a kid living at home with your parents, it's not frowned, especially like with house prices being the way they are. It's nothing in the Caribbean, community for you to be 37, 38, 40, 41, living at home with your parents, attempting. Now, you will be working and you probably will be saving to buy your own place, but that's not frowned upon necessarily, right? It's understandable, right? Thank you. Right? And Dr. Thunder said, wait, but it's not a recession. Just check Wikipedia for the dynamically adjusted definition. You see me? Right? And, like I said, we're going to poke a little fun at the ladies today, but not too much because we got to be honest that this thing is ridiculous. And Mr. Z is not one that wants women to adhere to certain tenets that black men, are espousing because they're starving to death, right? This lets you know that Mr. Z has never been a person that presses on women. I don't want you to want me, or I don't want you to need me, and that's why you messing with me because you can't breathe. Now you're with me because you want to be. Obviously, obligation, and like me and my lady, there's some obligation there, obviously, right? Obligation is just you stayed and doing what you need to do, even when you don't feel like doing it, right? So, of course, I'm gonna poke a little fun at the ladies today, but I don't want them to be dealing with men, black men, because they're starving. No, you're with black men because you want to be, right? And that turning to tradition, yeah, you like I said, you're gonna have that because of the current environment. And for the women that are turning to tradition, right? But let that not be a reason for many of us to kind of fall for the banana in the tailpipe, right? What my boy used to say, pull a woolly mammoth over your eyes. right? The wool over your eyes. He used to say woolly mammoth over your eyes. I thought that was hysterical. But still, right? The real traditional women, if you're part of the Black Manosphere, should be easier to sniff out. The ones that are just doing this as an act because they're starving, please be careful, right? And the Haitian says, and thank you for the super chat. The Haitian says a lot of these women are faking when you get them alone and let them talk. They are tired and lonely, bruh. Thank you, the Haitian. Thank you, Mr. Z. Been saying it, right? Some for financial help, but mostly for masculine touch. But due to sister code, must maintain facade, must maintain the facade. Yes, yeah, of course, yes, absolutely, absolutely, right? We know they crying themselves to sleep. Mr. Z says it all the time. And I don't say it to poke fun. That when I say it, I really say it to be like, you think we don't know? Maybe the white people don't know, they know. Your homegirls know, and black men know. You want to know how we know? Because we're your brothers and your nephews and your uncles and your fathers and your sons and your cousins. We know. Oh, and we're your best friend and homegirl's boyfriend and husband. And they tell us. Oh yeah, pillow talking don't go only one way. By the way, right? 750 for new cars. Oh yeah, y'all hurting. Y'all hurting, right? 750 for new cars. Oh, absolutely. And so of course you're going to turn to tradition a little bit, a lot of bit, for those that are. Now, what was interesting about the Wisecrack video, once again, link in the description, is it showed pretty much white women, right? It pretty much showed white women. I guess black women got another way they're going to try to do this. Good luck. Alan, reading the comment made my head hurt. And Alan says, I've seen a BBW stay single because she is delusional enough to think she will pull a celebrity. She called it, quotes, spiritual awakening. These women make my head hurt, bruh. That's just another manifest talk. That's yeah, bro. I don't even entertain that stuff. I don't even entertain it, right? And the reason, by the way, the reason why this matters, because these are the people you share a community with and a skin tone with. It's that simple. You share a community with them, whether you like it or not, or whether they like it or not. You share a community with them and a skin tone with them. That's why it matters. And for the women at large, you share a country with them and a planet with them. That's why it matters. Why it matters, this turn to tradition for the ones that are, is how many of them are doing it because they had a genuine epiphany, and how many of them are doing it for opportunism. Come on now. Right? Yeah, yeah. And Alan says it's peculiar to see in real time rather than Twitter threads. Tongue tied as a hell right now. Exactly, Dr. Thunder. Common ancestry. Yeah, and that's why it matters. Because as much as we've tried, particularly black women, to distance ourselves, you are a representation of black men. Anybody tell you different is lying. You can't get away, black women. I'm sorry. You've tried for decades, right? Trell put it in the book. Trell said trad Keisha. Put it in the book, right? So I guess the white folks got TradCon, right? The traditional conservatives, and we have the trad Keishas, which is like the Keishas that's fronting like they are truly traditional, but they're really not, right? Hysterical. There's a whole lot of church going sisters that'll be trad Keishas. Check your Baptist church and your Christian churches and your Catholic churches and your Pentecostal churches and your 7 day. Goddamn, I could do this forever. There's a whole lot of church going sisters clapping it up on Sundays and Saturdays whenever you celebrate your Sabbath. And they really trad Keishas. We all know a trad Keisha. Right? We all know at least one trad Keisha. You traditional? Really? Why you got 3 kids from 3 different dudes? I'm just saying. What you talking about? You traditional? Did I see you at the club last night? You traditional? Who was that dude leaving your apartment last night? Right? For real. Look, it's funny because it's true. It's funny because it's true. We all know them, right? And so on that note, everybody, I'm gonna close it on out. Great, I was gonna say great conversation, but Mrs. E was I was talking to you guys. I almost said I was talking to myself, but no. I know I've been skipping out over the past few weeks on doing a Sunday morning live like I used to do. We're gonna try to get that back, try to get my discipline and get back to it. Um, Hopefully starting this Sunday. I don't think I have any plans, so I'm saying hopefully starting this Sunday we'll start doing our morning Sunday wrap ups again. Yeah, and it's just been absolute. Oh, so I did it, you guys. I actually did because I got so close to calling out on Saturday. I got so close, but I ended a month of straight work, and I capped it with a week from Sunday to Saturday, 95 hours essentially of work, right? So not yeah. And a part of me was like, because it got so close to 100, I was like, I just wish I had a way to hit 100, right? Because I got so close, I was like, I'm already tired as hell anyway. I just need something to do at work and hit 100 so I can brag about it. And I'm pretty sure it's not healthy and it's taken away from my life. But if I'm gonna get this close, I might as well. And so I'm probably gonna tell a few people and lie to them and just round up to 100 and be like, bro, I done did 100 hours, so shut up, right? Yeah, talk about toxic masculinity. Men finding interesting ways of saying I almost killed myself. Right? We stop it. We all done been there. Let me tell you about this one time I took the nail gun and I almost hit myself in the forehead with it. Right? Oh hell no. Trust and lunch on Z. Not with these pennies I'm making in South Florida relative to South Florida. I wish. I'll tell you, if I was to really hit like that real lottery money, oh yeah. Pack up your bags, Dr. T, you going on tour, you giving lectures. I'm gonna just sponsor that. Go ahead. Right? Dr. Tommy Curry, don't worry, we're gonna hire security, you giving lectures too. We're gonna piss off all the feminists. Don't worry, I'll be like with the you see how the conservatives have all of their sponsors, the Koch brothers and all of that other stuff. what's the gambler dude that's from Vegas or from Nevada? That guy. All they sponsors. Oh yeah, Mr. Z will be that. All right. So on that note, we'll end it out before better you start counting. That was already the first one. Right. So y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Like I said, so y'all check out the link in the description. It's really interesting. I like wisecrack stuff, right? I already know what angle they're gonna come at it from, but the information and like the referring to different philosophers, both contemporary and from the past. Um, yeah, they just like Mr. Z loves watching like these kind of very thoughtful think pieces, even from the people I disagree with, or that even going all the way to the point of like can't stand. Um, but the really good edited ones and thought out ones, I love it. And so, y'all go ahead and check out the link in the description. They already got their views and their money, so it's not like we giving them any super extra. Um, and on that note, right, love, peace, and chicken grease. I'll pause right here. Y'all go check out other other non-Manosphere content, other Black Manosphere content. Dr. T, I said Dr. T, sorry. Dr. Thunder is starting a live stream in a minute, so y'all could go ahead and check out Dr. Thunder. And y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Once again, check out other non-Manosphere content so we don't sound like, the delusional manifest people, right? What the brother said. Let's make that be the last comment. What he said, she said. Let me see. Let me get that. What did she call it? Wait a minute. You said spiritual awakening. Yeah. Alan, Alan, you killed me with the spiritual awakening. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, on that note, yeah, y'all go check out Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. So y'all are talking about y'all having a spiritual awakening instead of just calling what you're doing delusional. And y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Mr. Z out. All right, everybody.